City Hospital. Gray afternoon. A single dad in a blue janitor uniform stands outside the hospital director's office, mop still in hand. The director shouts, "You're fired! Security will escort you out!" The entire hallway watches. Some people smirk. But as he's walking out with his big whoop, 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 the sound of rotor blades cutting through air. A Navy MH-60 Seahawk helicopter lands on the rooftop helipad. 4 military personnel jump out and rush into the lobby. The commanding officer calls out loudly, "Where is Ethan Cole?" The entire hospital freezes in silence. Ethan Cole, 39 years old, night shift janitor. His daughter Sophie, 8 years old, is being treated for recurring asthma attacks. Ethan works 2 to 3 shifts to pay the hospital bills. Every morning he leaves the hospital just as Sophie wakes up for school. Every evening, he reads to her before his shift starts. The circles under his eyes tell a story he never speaks about. Ethan speaks little, always polite, always nods his head when doctors walk past. He cleans the ICU with precision that seems unusual for a janitor. His movements are efficient, almost military. Nobody knows his past. Nobody asks. Only Grace, a young nurse, notices something different about him. The way he stands, the way he responds to emergencies. Very military, very trained, but she never asks either. Dr. Leonard Briggs, the type of man who only respects money and status. He walks past janitors like they're invisible. To him, Ethan is just another blue uniform pushing a mop. Nothing more. Late one night, a child in the pediatric ward won't stop crying. The parents are exhausted. The nurses are overwhelmed. Ethan walks in during his cleaning round. He kneels down beside the bed, speaks softly to the child. Within minutes, the boy is calm, breathing steady. The mother whispers, "Thank you." Ethan just nods and continues mopping. Another night, an elderly patient becomes aggressive, confused from medication. Security is called. Before they arrive, Ethan is already there. He speaks in a low, steady voice, calm, controlled. The patient sits down. The crisis ends. The nurse on duty looks at him strangely. "How did you do that?" Ethan shrugs. "Just talk to him." But it wasn't just talking. It was training. Years of it. Nobody thinks a janitor can do these things. But Ethan does them every week. Every night before his shift, Sophie asks the same question. "Daddy, were you a hero once?" Ethan sits on the edge of her bed, brushes her hair back. He smiles, but it's a sad smile. "I was just doing my job, sweetheart." "But you saved people, right?" "I tried to." "Then you're still a hero." Ethan kisses her forehead. "The only thing that matters is being here for you." Sophie coughs a little. Ethan hands her the inhaler, waits until her breathing settles. "Try to sleep, Sophie. I'll be back before breakfast." "Promise?" "Always." He closes the door quietly, puts on his blue uniform, grabs his mop and bucket, and goes back to being nobody. In his locker, buried under spare uniforms, there's a worn photo. 4 men in desert camouflage, helmets, medical patches on their arms. Ethan is the second from the left, younger, stronger, smiling. The photo is bent at the corners, faded from being held too many times. He looks at it sometimes during his break, then puts it back. That man doesn't exist anymore. Or so he tells himself. Ethan Cole didn't just clean floors with precision. He walked the halls like he was still on patrol, checked exits, noticed when equipment was out of place, spotted dangers before they became emergencies. But nobody saw it, because nobody really looks at a janitor. They see the uniform, not the man. They see the mop, not the hands that once held lives together in war zones. And Ethan preferred it that way. Quiet, invisible, safe, until the day everything changed. It happens on a Tuesday night. Ethan is cleaning the 3rd floor. The ICU hallway, quiet except for the beeping of monitors. Then he hears it, a crash, glass breaking, someone screaming. He drops his mop and runs. Room 304. The door is half open. Inside, a patient is thrashing violently. A young man, maybe 25, just out of surgery, still confused from anesthesia. He's ripped out his IV. Blood drips down his arm. He's grabbed a metal tray and is swinging it at the monitors, smashing equipment. Two young doctors stand frozen at the doorway. A nurse backs away, hands up. "Sir, please calm down," one doctor shouts. The patient doesn't hear. His eyes are wild, panicked. Ethan doesn't think. His body moves on instinct. He steps into the room, calm, controlled. "Hey, hey brother, look at me." His voice is low, steady, the voice he used in combat zones when soldiers were in shock. The patient turns, swings the tray. Ethan sidesteps, moves in close. In one smooth motion, he controls the man's wrist, guides him down to the bed. No force, no pain, just precision. The tray clatters to the floor. Within 10 seconds, the patient is sitting, breathing hard, but safe. Ethan keeps his hand on the man's shoulder. "You're okay. You're in a hospital. You're safe." The patient blinks. Confusion clears from his eyes. What happened?" "Anesthesia. It messes with your head sometimes. You're okay now." The nurse rushes in with a sedative. The doctors finally move. Ethan steps back, picks up his mop. That's when he hears the voice behind him. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Dr. Leonard Briggs stands in the doorway, face red, eyes furious. The entire ICU floor seems to hold its breath. Briggs walks into the room, looks at the broken monitors, the blood on the floor. Then he looks at Ethan. "You, janitor, who gave you permission to touch a patient?" Ethan stays calm. "Sir, he was hurting himself. I just—" "Shut up." The words cut through the air like a blade. Briggs turns to the doctors. "Did this janitor assault a patient?" The young doctor stammers. "No, sir, he actually helped." "I didn't ask for your opinion. I asked what happened." The doctor goes silent. Briggs turns back to Ethan, steps closer. "You are a janitor. Your job is to clean floors, not to play doctor, not to touch patients, not to interfere with medical care." "He was going to hurt himself," Ethan says quietly. Someone needed to call security, which is protocol, which you violated." Ethan feels something old and heavy settling in his chest. The feeling of being powerless, of watching people in power abuse it. Grace, the young nurse, steps forward. "To Briggs, please. He saved that man from serious injury." Briggs doesn't even look at her. "This is not your concern, Nurse Carter." He pulls out his phone, makes a call. "Security, I need an escort to ICU. Immediately." He hangs up, looks at Ethan with cold eyes. "You're fired, effective immediately." The words hang in the air. Ethan doesn't move, doesn't speak. Grace's eyes fill with tears. "This is wrong. He is nothing but a janitor who overstepped his bounds," Briggs says loudly. For everyone to hear, the humiliation is intentional, public. 2 security guards arrive. "Escort this man out, make sure he collects his belongings and leaves the premises." Ethan looks at the patient on the bed. The young man is staring at him. "Thank you," the patient whispers. Ethan nods once, then he turns and walks toward the elevator. Security flanking him. As they pass the nursing station, Grace runs up. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. This is so unfair." "It's okay, Grace." "It's not okay. You saved him." Ethan gives her a sad smile. "Take care of them." She watches him go, tears streaming down her face. In the locker room, Ethan opens his locker. He takes out his jacket, his keys, the photo of the 4 men in desert camouflage. He looks at it for a long moment, then slides it into his pocket. The security guard clears his throat. "Sir, we need to go." Ethan closes the locker, doesn't look back. They walk through the main lobby, past doctors, nurses, patients. Some people stare, others whisper. A janitor getting fired. Nothing unusual. Nobody knows what he really is. Nobody knows what he's done, and that's when it happens. Whoop, 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 whoop. The sound starts faint, then grows louder. Everyone in the lobby looks up. The windows rattle. The rotor wash is powerful. Close, a nurse points. Is that a helicopter? The sound is deafening now. Through the glass ceiling of the lobby, they can see it. A Navy MH-60 Seahawk, dark gray, military markings. It's landing on the rooftop helipad. The entire hospital stops. Phones come out. People rush to the windows. Why is the Navy here? Is it an emergency? Did something happen? The helicopter touches down. The rotors slow but don't stop. The side door opens. 4 figures in Navy uniforms jump out. They move with purpose, with urgency. They disappear from view on the roof. Then the stairwell door bursts open. 4 Navy personnel stride into the main lobby. A commanding officer, 3 sailors, all of them scan the crowd. The commanding officer's voice cuts through the noise. "We're looking for Ethan Cole." Complete silence. Every head turns. The officer's eyes find Ethan standing near the exit, security guards on either side. The officer walks straight toward him. Petty Officer Ethan Cole, United States Navy, formerly with Task Force Trident. The entire hospital freezes. Grace covers her mouth. Dr. Briggs, watching from the second-floor balcony, goes pale. Ethan stands very still. The commanding officer stops in front of him, salutes. "Sir." The Navy remembers its own. Type respect if you want the reveal. The lobby is completely silent. Hundreds of eyes stare at the 4 Navy personnel standing in front of Ethan Cole. Dr. Briggs grips the balcony railing. His knuckles turn white. "Petty officer?" he stammers. Grace stands frozen. "He was Navy?" The commanding officer keeps his salute. Ethan slowly raises his hand, returns the salute. Muscle memory from another life. The officer lowers his hand. "Petty Officer First Class Ethan Cole, Hospital Corpsman, Combat Medical Specialist, Task Force Trident." Each word lands like a hammer. One of the sailors steps forward. "Sir, I served under you in Kandahar. You saved my life." Ethan's jaw tightens. "Jackson?" "Yes, sir. Petty Officer Second Class Jackson." The young sailor's voice cracks. "You carried me 3 miles under fire. I had shrapnel in my chest. You kept me breathing." Ethan shakes his head. "You would have done the same." "No, sir, most people wouldn't have." Another sailor speaks up, scars on his neck. "Sir, I was there when you held Thompson together after the IED for 40 minutes, until the medevac arrived." Ethan closes his eyes. The name hits him like a punch. Thompson didn't make it. The commanding officer steps closer. His voice drops, meant only for Ethan. "You left the Navy 3 years ago, after the incident in Helmand Province." Ethan's hands start to shake. He shoves them in his pockets. "We don't need to talk about that." "Yes, we do." The officer's voice is gentle but firm. "Because the Navy never forgot." He pulls out a folder from his jacket, opens it. "Task Force Trident, March 2021. Your unit was ambushed during a medical supply convoy. You were the only corpsman." Ethan stares at the floor. 12 wounded, 3 critical. You performed emergency surgery in the field. Under fire. For 6 hours. Grace is crying now. The officer continues. "You saved 11 lives that day. The 12th, Rodriguez." Ethan's voice is barely a whisper. "He died in your arms. You tried everything." Ethan's voice hardens. "I failed." "You gave him a chance. That's all any of us can do." The young sailor steps forward again. "Sir, you taught us that. You never gave up on any of us." Ethan looks up. His eyes are red. "I gave up on myself." The commanding officer places a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "After Rodriguez died, you blamed yourself. You requested discharge. Came home to raise your daughter alone after your wife passed." Ethan nods, can't speak. "You disappeared, took a job as a janitor, kept your head down, never told anyone who you were." "I didn't want Sophie to think her dad was broken." The officer's voice softens. "You're not broken. You're a father doing his best." Dr. Briggs rushes down the stairs. "Officer, there's been a misunderstanding. Mr. Cole is valued." The commanding officer turns. His eyes are ice. "You fired him." Briggs stammers. "Well, there was an incident. Protocol was, he saved a patient's life using the same skills that saved 11 Marines. I didn't know he was, you didn't ask." The officer's voice cuts like steel. You saw a janitor. You saw someone you thought didn't matter. Briggs opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. The officer turns back to the crowd. Ethan Cole is one of the finest combat medics the Navy has ever produced. He has 3 Navy Achievement Medals, 2 Combat Action Ribbons, and a commendation for valor under fire. The lobby erupts in whispers. Grace steps forward. Why didn't you tell us? Ethan looks at her. Because it doesn't matter anymore. It matters to us. I'm just a janitor. No, the commanding officer's voice rings out. You're a hero who chose to sweep floors. There's a difference. One of the security guards steps forward, removes his cap. Sir, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Ethan shakes his head. You were doing your job. The hospital CEO pushes through the crowd. Mr. Cole, let's discuss this in my office. Reinstate him? The commanding officer raises an eyebrow. After public humiliation? The CEO looks at Briggs. Dr. Briggs, is this true? You fired him for helping a patient? Briggs takes a step back. I was enforcing hospital protocol. You were enforcing your ego, Grace says loudly. The crowd murmurs agreement. The CEO's face hardens. Dr. Briggs, my office, now. Briggs looks around, sees the contempt in every face. He turns and walks away. Alone. The commanding officer turns back to Ethan. We're not here to get you your job back. Ethan looks up. Then why are you here? To bring you this. The officer hands him an envelope. Ethan opens it. Inside is a letter, official Navy letterhead. His hands shake as he reads. It's from the Secretary of the Navy, the officer says. A formal commendation for your service, and a letter from the families of the 11 men you saved. Ethan's vision blurs. We thought you should know. The Navy didn't forget. The families didn't forget. Jackson steps forward, pulls something from his pocket. A challenge coin. Every man you saved carries one. Your call sign is engraved. He hands it to Ethan. Ethan reads the engraving. Doc Cole, the man who brings everyone home. His composure breaks. Tears stream down his face. The commanding officer speaks softly. You brought us home. We wanted to bring you home too. That's when they hear it. Daddy? The crowd parts. Sophie stands in the entrance, backpack on her shoulders. A neighbor brought her. She runs to him. Daddy, what's happening? Why are these soldiers here? Ethan kneels down, pulls her close. Sophie, these are old friends. She looks at the Navy uniforms, the helicopter visible through the skylight. Were you a soldier, Daddy? Not a soldier, a medic. I help people who were hurt. Like you help people here? Ethan smiles through his tears. Yeah, like that. Sophie hugs him tight. Did I make you lose your job? The fear in her voice breaks him. No, baby, never. Nothing you could ever do would make me lose anything that matters. She buries her face in his chest. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Sophie. More than anything. The entire lobby watches. Jackson kneels down. Your dad saved my life. Sophie looks at him. Really? Really? And I came to say thank you. She looks up at Ethan. You're a hero, Daddy. Ethan shakes his head. I'm just your dad. No. The commanding officer's voice is firm. You're both. He salutes again. All 4 Navy personnel salute. The security guards salute. Then Grace, then the nurses. One by one, the entire lobby, hundreds of people, saluting a janitor who was so much more. The commanding officer turns to Ethan. We need you to come with us, just for a moment. Ethan looks at Sophie. I can't leave her. She can come too. This won't take long. Grace steps forward. I'll come with them. They walk through the hospital, past staring faces, up the stairs, to the rooftop. The helicopter sits waiting, rotors still spinning slowly. The wind whips around them. Sophie holds Ethan's hand tight, eyes wide at the massive aircraft. The commanding officer pulls out a leather folder. Petty Officer Cole, the Department of Defense wanted you to have this. He opens it. Inside is a letter signed by the Secretary of the Navy. Ethan reads it. His hands shake. It's a formal commendation, recognition for his service, for the lives he saved. But there's more. Letters from the families. Jackson's mother. You gave me my son back. I pray for you every day. Another Marine's wife. My husband came home because of you. Our children know your name. Ethan can't see through his tears. Sophie tugs his sleeve. Daddy, what does it say? He kneels down, shows her the letters. These are from people I helped a long time ago. They're saying thank you. You really are a hero. Ethan pulls her close. No, baby. I'm just someone who did his job. The commanding officer speaks quietly. The Navy never forgets its own. We should have done this 3 years ago. Ethan stands, wipes his eyes. I didn't do it for medals. We know that's why you deserve them. They salute one final time. The helicopter lifts off, disappears into the sky. Ethan, Sophie, and Grace stand on the roof, watching it go. Grace finally speaks. What are you going to do now? Ethan looks at the hospital below. I don't know, but the hospital knew what it wanted to do. Within hours, the story spreads. Local news picks it up. Hospital fires Navy hero for saving patient. Social media explodes. The hospital's phone lines are flooded. The board of directors holds an emergency meeting. Dr. Briggs is placed on administrative leave, pending investigation. The CEO personally calls Ethan that evening. Mr. Cole, I want to apologize. What happened was unconscionable. Ethan sits in his small apartment. Sophie asleep in the next room. I appreciate that. We'd like you to come back, not as a janitor, as our patient safety specialist. Ethan pauses. What does that mean? You'd work with our medical teams, train them in emergency response, patient safety protocols, crisis management. I'm not a doctor. You're something better. You're someone who knows how to save lives under pressure. Ethan thinks about it, about Sophie's medical bills, about doing work that actually matters. I need to think about it. Of course, but Ethan, we need people like you. The hospital needs you. 3 days later, Ethan accepts, not for the hospital, for the patients, for the people who need someone who actually cares. Grace is the first to welcome him back. She hugs him in the hallway. I'm so glad you're here. Me too. Things are going to change around here. Ethan smiles, one shift at a time. That afternoon, Sophie visits after school. The staff treats her like royalty. She draws pictures in her dad's new office. One picture shows a helicopter, a man in uniform, a little girl holding his hand. She writes at the bottom, "My daddy saves people." A Navy sailor who served with the Ethans sees it when he visits. He asks if he can keep it. Sophie nods. The sailor folds it carefully, places it in his vest pocket. This goes with me on every deployment now. Sophie beams. Ethan watches, realizes something. He spent 3 years hiding who he was, afraid Sophie would see him as broken. But she never did. She always saw him as her hero, even when he was just a janitor, especially then. 1 year later, Ethan Cole is the hospital's patient safety specialist, respected by everyone. He still walks the same halls, still helps patients the same way. The only difference is now people see him. Sophie is healthier, her asthma is under control. The hospital created a scholarship fund in Ethan's name, the Trident Hope Fund. It helps children of veterans get medical care. Sophie was the first recipient. The patient Ethan saved that night visits sometimes. His name is Marcus. He graduated college, got married, started a family. I wouldn't be here without you, he tells Ethan every time. Ethan always says, you would have been fine. But they both know the truth. On a cold November morning, the Navy returns, not with a helicopter this time, but with a ceremony, right there on the hospital rooftop, where everything changed. Staff members fill the space, patients in wheelchairs, families. Sophie stands next to her dad, wearing a dress, holding his hand. The commanding officer from a year ago steps forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to present Petty Officer First Class Ethan Cole with the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal for valor under fire, for lives saved in combat, and for continued service to his community. He pins the medal on Ethan's chest. The crowd applauds. Ethan stands at attention, eyes forward, but tears run down his face. Sophie squeezes his hand. The officer continues, heroes don't disappear. They don't stop being heroes just because they take off the uniform. He looks at Ethan. Sometimes they choose to sweep floors, to stay quiet, to serve in ways nobody notices. But the world needs them, and eventually the world calls them back. Ethan finally speaks. His voice is steady. I'm not special. I just went where people needed me. That, the officer says, is exactly what makes you special. Sophie steps forward. She wrote a speech. Her voice is small but clear. My daddy taught me that heroes don't need capes. They just need to care. I'm proud he's my daddy. The crowd is silent. Ethan kneels down, hugs her tight. I'm proud you're my daughter. As the ceremony ends, people line up. One by one, they shake Ethan's hand. Not for being a hero, but for being human. The sun sets over the hospital rooftop, where a helicopter once landed, where respect finally arrived. The commanding officer says it best. Respect doesn't land with the helicopter. It lands with the truth. And the truth is simple. Some heroes wear uniforms, some wear scrubs, some wear blue janitor uniforms. They all show up when it matters. Ethan Cole showed up every day for his daughter, for his patients, for himself, and that made all the difference. Subscribe if you believe true honor stays quiet until the world calls for it. Drop respect in the comments if this story moved you.